All right, greetings and welcome. This is the Eccentric Perspective. I am your host, Blake Wally. It is February 20th of 2025. I have quite a bit to cover in today's broadcast. I'm going to go over the headlines here. We'll run an intro. And by all means, if you want to chime in on the chat room, suggest something else, or perhaps we have some breaking news. Perhaps you have a question. Do whatever you need to do. We'll take it from there. But let's take a quick look at the headlines. All right, for today's show. So, did the Senate, did they make a great mistake by confirming Kash Patel? American taxpayers, do they deserve to get a DOGE dividend check? Americans, do they deserve a live stream of the upcoming Fort Knox audit? Is the Trump administration, are they crazy to consider suspending the mRNA vaccine? How about Kanye West? Is his irrational behavior, has it been caused from nitrous oxide? A little sports news, Kluwe, should he be celebrated for his anti-MAGA activism? And Delta Airlines, are they covering up details from the latest plane crash because of DEI? And 1 in 10 Americans, have they always identified with the LGBTQ community? So these topics and perhaps something more on this broadcast. So I'm going to try to tear through it. My goal is to get it all done in an hour. So we shall see. Let's run a quick intro and then start getting into the headline story on the other side. All right, good times. All right, well, let's jump into the big story today, at least so far. That would be Kash Patel. After a bit of a delay, since they pushed this back at least a week, the confirmation to get the kind of last controversial member of Trump's administration in to head up the FBI director. Some of the usual suspects, the rhinos, Murkowski and Collins voted no, which shouldn't surprise anybody, the deep state swamp creatures. But surprisingly, Mitch McConnell voted yes. So, yes, he is now official. Earlier, I guess the Senate broke a filibuster on Kash Patel's nomination, so it was a 51-47 vote. So it did not have to be settled with a tiebreaker like Pete Hegseth. So that's cool. No more controversy. It's over. It's official. It's good. So yes, the deep state media complex attacking Kash Patel because of his stellar work exposing the Russiagate hoax in an effort to derail his nomination. Patel worked as the former House Intelligence Chairman with Devin Nunes and his top deputy, and busted the Russiagate story wide open. Not everybody was thrilled about that. In fact, you can take a quick look at this picture. It's certainly not, this is the vocal minority, I suppose, terrified of this new nominee, and we're hoping desperately that they can potentially block him if that was possible. And it was close. Sorry, no cigars for any of you. Here he is, Kash Patel. I'm not going to play any of this clip, but we've seen plenty of sound bites, and hopefully we'll see many more. I guess I was going to talk about this quick story here. It was surprising that Mitch McConnell, he actually confirmed he was against Tulsi, he was against RFK, assuming he was against Pete Hegseth. But surprisingly, he did give the okay. But yes, he is fading fast. One of the dinosaurs of the GOP. He's been in office since 1984. God, I was in grade school. He was still in the Senate, but he will not seek his election in 2026. Yeah, he's just barely getting around. He's pretty much in Dianne Feinstein territory, just being pushed around in a wheelchair, which is nothing wrong with that. He's an elderly man, but yes, he is in his 80s. He should not be there. He's an 83-year-old senator. So maybe he could step down now. I don't know about his health issues, but no, it's you got to give credit where it's due. And I guess he made the right call today, at least in my opinion, but not in everybody's opinion. There's a lot of senators, yes, melting down ahead of Kash Patel confirmation vote. What are they afraid of? Well, that is a very good question. Why are they so panicked? They're terrified. Kash Patel certainly qualified. What are they saying? Impressive qualifications, including several high-ranking positions in the intelligence and defense communities under President Trump. And as a prosecutor of terrorism, he went after ISIS and other terrorist networks. And he was the lead prosecutor for the World Cup bombings in Uganda that killed an American and 76 people. But they are attacking him for his exposing of their Russiagate hoax in an effort to derail his nomination. But he will now be the country's top cop to take over the front man of the FBI headquarters. So very cool. Here's take a look at the libs of TikTok. It's a very quick video from one of these swamp creatures panicking outside in the cold in DC. Let's check this one out.
Judiciary Committee, what crimes it was that he was concerned about that caused him to plead the Fifth. Kash Patel, mark my words, will cause evil in this building behind us, and Republicans who vote for him will rue that day.
Well, maybe for him. I don't think I would agree with any of that. There has been a lot of evil that has come out of the FBI out of the last several decades. We can even go back. I'm already forgetting his name. It's been an ongoing saga for a long time. We have even had a place with the 60s. With JFK, RFK, MLK, the assassinations, J. Edgar Hoover, and the way that they were just blackmailing everybody. It was a problem. The FBI has had a pretty bad reputation for a long time, so this will be a reckoning as far as I can see, but maybe not for guys like that, and especially Adam Schiff, who would be front and center. The person who is most likely the most terrified. Let's take a look. Should I go to this clip or should I go? I think I've got a more extended one. We'll run this one here.
This is someone we cannot trust. This is someone who lacks the character to do this job, someone who lacks the integrity to do this job. We know that.
Total lies, and I'd love to see them give you one example of why he doesn't have the integrity to do this job.
Our Republican colleagues know that. The only qualification Kash Patel has to be FBI director is that when everyone else in the first Trump administration said, no, I won't do that, that crosses moral, ethical, and legal lines, Kash Patel said, sign me up. In the first Trump administration, as we are seeing in the second, you rise to the level of your sycophancy, and no one is a bigger or more dangerous sycophant than Kash Patel. This political hack does not deserve to be in this building.
Wow, just pure projection here out of Adam Schiff, desperately making a plea. Will anybody believe him?
He can't do the job. He won't protect the public. He will misuse the resources of the Bureau. He will weaponize.
Misusing resources. I can only imagine how much money was spent on this ridiculous 2-year Russia hoax with Robert Mueller, and this is all because of Adam Schiff. Mostly, he is the front man for so much of it. J6 and so many other things that they just absolutely lied to the American public about and try to go after their political enemies.
Against the president's political opponents rather than protecting the safety, the public safety of the American people. We will vote no. Our Republican colleagues, intimidated by this president and threats of primary challenges from MAGA world, may vote to confirm him. But as my colleagues have said, they will have to live with that vote, be accountable for that vote, and be accountable for all the destruction that Patel does to this premier law enforcement agency.
Yeah, they've been I think the word on the street is that they were delaying his nomination so that the FBI could, have more time to delete evidence, start shredding papers or what have you, because they don't want him going after and looking at everything. And one of the interesting things is that yes, the Trump is already declassified, or he's setting the pieces in motion to declassify the assassination of MLK and RFK and JFK, and of course him as well with the attempt in Butler, Pennsylvania last year. So there's a lot of exciting things, and Christopher Wray has been a horrible frontman for a while, not really being very accountable for a lot of things, and misleading the public, especially when it came to J6 and all of the informants that were embedded in those crowds and perhaps entrapping good people. Let's take a look. Of course, Adam Schiff, interesting to note, he was trying to, going after another nominee, Miss Bondi here, the Attorney General. He was, he spent his time pretty much just trying to get her to, I guess, assuage his concerns that she was going to start coming after him and the J6 committee and Liz Cheney for all the damage that they caused. So he's definitely worried about retaliation. I don't blame him, but he did this all to himself. So, he tried to perpetuate a giant hoax on the American people, wasted countless millions of dollars on lies that he certainly knew were lies. So let's roll parts of this.
Let me ask you a different simple question. The president also wants to jail Liz Cheney. Sitting here today, are you aware of any factual basis to investigate Liz Cheney? Yes or no?
Senator, that's a hypothetical, and I'm not going to answer that question.
No, it's not hypothetical. I'm asking you, sitting here today, whether you are aware of a factual predicate to investigate Liz Cheney.
Senator, no one
Based
has
on
asked
what you
me
know.
to investigate Liz Cheney. That is a
The
hypothetical.
president has called for it publicly. You are aware of that, aren't you?
They gave Liz Cheney a preemptive pardon because they knew she was guilty. She was putting innocent protesters from J6 in jail, and they tampered with evidence. And she tampered with a witness, Cassidy Hutchinson. So, yeah, if you're going to destroy evidence and try to frame the president of the United States, put innocent people in jail to keep this insurrection narrative hoax, you deserve to get some retaliation. So I don't know how far the pardon goes, but this is what Adam Schiff was concerned about. And hello, Kenneth. Great to see you, buddy. Yes, the Blake and Bake. I would like to do that someday. Someday when I have a Wake and Bake Wednesday episode with Blake. There we go. Wake and Blake. Okay. Something like that. Just what was Adam Schiff? Yeah, hopefully we'll see that. He definitely needs some retaliation. He's been a bad boy. And it's about time he faces reality from the American people. Liz Cheney. It's amazing how she's become some kind of a darling for the left. After any leftist in the 90s, the 2000s hated Dick Cheney. But for some reason, they think her daughter is just great because it's going after Trump. It's weird how they've managed to twist that narrative around. But perhaps there's going to be a reckoning, and it's happening. It's starting today. As I don't know, does Kash Patel, does he have to start work today? Maybe he gets the weekend off. And he can start bright and early Monday morning. I'm not sure how that works. He just got nominated today. Maybe he gets to go check out the office, get a little orientation on Friday. I'm not sure what the schedule looks like, how that all works. But I'm really looking forward. Now they got the whole team together. So this is a great day for America, as far as I'm concerned. Let's run another clip here. Just the contrast. Adam Schiff and Kash Patel. I may skip the section with Adam Schiff since we've perhaps already played that. But let's let this one rip, and then we'll get to the next story here. Okay, let me try putting that on normal human speed. I'd like to see what lines those are. Does that include dealing with Alexander Vindman or Eric Sierra Mella, or whoever, Cassidy Hutchinson? There's a lot of people. The line of questioning should really be on Schiff. He should be in the hot seat right now, held to account by the American people for all of the terrible things that he put this country through over the years. But let's see if we are repeating. Let's get to Kash Patel's part. Get a little line from him. Whoa. Let's run that one more time with these, so you'll know right now exactly why Adam Schiff is panicking right now. Kash Patel knows that Adam Schiff is front and center as one of the worst swamp creatures in American history. "250 years, and that may be true. I think we could make a case, and now we're going to find out. But hey, if Adam Schiff has nothing to hide, then he shouldn't have anything to worry about. You should say, bring it on. Let Kash Patel get in. I stand, I have high integrity, and I know where I stand, and I know how I've served the American people. But no, you threw a little temper tantrum with a small group of people outside the building. That went absolutely nowhere. There is no support for this, as much as he would like to generate some. Yeah, it's called a fishing expedition. They accuse you of a crime, and then they try to find the evidence to back it up. And they ran that whole big Mueller investigation in, ultimately found nothing. So then they just impeached him again. Okay, well, TikTok, Adam. Good to see you. Okay. And hello, Frankie B. Great to see you. Wake and Blake, Wednesdays, 10 a.m. Central. There you go. In due time. One of these days. I don't know. We'll see if I can handle that. Sounds fun, but it could be a little terrifying, and then I'm just going to be all over the place. So we'll see if I can keep my focus when I'm feeling bold one of these times. Uh-oh. I'm sorry. Was I not sharing that piece? All right. Well, I might as well be baked right now. I can't believe I totally forgot that. So I don't know if you guys heard any of that audio. I do apologize. I'm surprised people are hanging around. But I appreciate you calling that out. I got to be more mindful of this. It's a little different learning everything as going solo. Miss some of these things. Sorry about that. Well, let's run this quick clip just from Kash Patel. You heard my analysis. It's only about a minute or so. And then I just want to make sure everybody saw that. And then I'll cleverly hide it all in post-production when I make my clips, and nobody will be the wiser, but you guys got to see it. All right, let's try this again.
We're not going to discuss it. We're going to protect that. We're going to talk about
the president's political opponents rather than protecting the public safety of the American people.
Adam Schiff is the worst criminal in Congress in the last 250 years. And what broke that we're going to talk about right now is Adam Schiff met with a whistleblower. Adam Schiff went to the podium day after day after day saying, I know nothing about this. We're not going to discuss it. We're going to protect it. And then Adam Schiff, led the prosecution of the impeachment trial in the Senate of President Donald Trump. Talk about someone who was conflicted out of the game because he was part of the hoax that brought Charmella in, manufactured that false accusation, and then peddled it out to the world. And he continued, not surprising, he's lied about almost everything in his life. But now he lied just to set up a presidential impeachment. And that's what I was talking about, these disinformation campaigns. And then he should be investigated because he lied to the world about his interactions with Charmella, who was a whistleblower, and I can't stress it enough, that started a presidential impeachment. Now, your history is way better than mine, but I can't remember the last time a president was actually impeached. It's a significant process and escalation, and it's reserved for the time when it actually shows a crime, not when it shows the manufacture of fake information to show a fake crime. The guy that found and manufactured the evidence with Charmella was the prosecutor in the case against the target of the investigation. That is the ultimate, from a prosecutorial standpoint, conflict of interest. But he knew what he was doing, and he thought he would never get exposed. And I think thanks to, I think it was John Solomon and his fantastic reporting, we now see what I've been saying for years, that I thought he met with him for sure, and it will come out, and it now has.
Imagine being Adam Schiff, putting yourself out there and trying to impeach the president, trying to put this whole fishing expedition together, just desperately hoping there can be some kind of a connection to him and Russia, and they can prove once and for all that Trump is on the payroll of the Kremlin and he's just Putin's puppets. I can't believe they put that through on the American people for 2 years, perpetuated a massive hoax, couldn't get it connected, and now it's time for Schiff to face the music. So good on Kash Patel. We should be getting to work quickly. It's time to flip this thing around. Change the script. Okay, well, I think that covers the headline story. I'm going to try to touch and go. We're going to go through these stories quickly if I can. A lot of them are just pretty much little highlights here. covered a little bit of them, but previously. All right, so let's get on. American taxpayers, do we deserve to get a DOGE dividend check? This is pretty exciting. A lot of people are having their issues with Musk and his role, whether he deserves to have that kind of power. So they're trying to say, well, if Trump's not part of Putin, then maybe he's taking orders from Musk. But I mean, stuff, throwing things around. Doesn't really seem to be anything backed up for that. Musk was clearly appointed by Trump to take care of some business, and it's been great having a business outsider taking some fresh eyes, taking a look at the government, which was not efficient by any means, very obsolete, and tons of waste, abuse, and fraud. He wasn't directly elected. He is certainly welcome to play his part and give suggestions to the president. And this could also start paying could lead to some money into our pocketbooks here. So we're going to get some, perhaps some dividends. He's saving us so much money. I think it's like 55. Let me get 55 billion so far. I've heard as high as maybe 110. But then I'm also hearing that we've only kind of hit the tip of the iceberg, and there could be so much more spending, dark money out there that we just haven't discovered it yet. It's going to take years, perhaps, to uncover how far the rabbit hole goes. Okay, cash become worthless. Perhaps, Kenneth. I don't know. Yeah, there could be a problem. Yeah, our cash could be worthless. Depending on how this audit goes. It's going to be wild. But yeah, here we go. Trump floating the idea of DOGE dividend checks for the taxpayers. So this could really get people on their side. Because a lot of people are saying, "Oh, is it such a threat to democracy having Elon, going through our agencies?" Yeah, there's a lot of waste there. Won't we rather have that back? Like spending money on stupid stuff that you didn't know about? Well, that could pay off. Well, we'll see, depending on how much it's going to be. So President Trump suggested Wednesday that the DOGE dividends could be handed to taxpayers, effectively giving back money that is saved from eliminating all this nonsense spending. Trump described it as a new concept. He's talking about giving 20% of the DOGE savings right back to American citizens, and then 20% going to pay off the debt. I'm curious, what does the other 60% go to? I don't know. That's the only thing. I heard about it yesterday, and I thought it was going to be like 50-50, half to us, half to the debt, which makes perfect sense. Or they could just give us all 100%, and I think that wins over so many of the voters who have been skeptical about what's happening. But how are you going to hate Elon and Trump if they're just putting money in your pocket from all the waste? I don't know. So I think this is a great idea. I mean, what else were they going to do with it? But this seems like the best way to do it. Yes, it's 55 billion. I was worried about throwing that number out there because I've heard two different figures. There's the 55 billion that has been official, we are going to save, and then I've heard perhaps up to 110 billion, which would be over $700 per American. So that would be pretty cool, right? I don't know. How are you going to hate Trump for that? Yeah, it's also going to be flying in the face of the media that's been smearing him for so long. What are you going to say? Or are there people that are just going to take their check and give it back somewhere? I don't know. You had that, it was a publicity. So was it Sheryl Crow? I can't remember. Who was it that sold their Tesla? They were going to give the money to NPR. What is that going to do? I don't know. Here we go. Yes, Kenneth, $5,000 to buy a Tesla sex robot. I wonder if it's going to go into business for that. I'm not sure. I'm curious about the future of humanity. In fact, I've got a few things to say about that in the last subject. I don't know if I was going to go into the sex robot things. certainly there's going to be a little sexual conversation at the end. It's not sure how I'm going to frame that all, but that would be an interesting change. If Tesla, someone's going to run this industry. I'm not sure who or why, but I'm concerned about the future of humanity and the weird dystopia that we are creating as we become kind of disconnected. Not sure. All right. Money back, not necessarily. That's another theory out there. I'm not sure if that's going to come to fruition, but absolutely there is a chance. We do know that there is a problem with our financial system. It is most likely going to come to an end. We're not going to be on the Federal Reserve forever. So whether that's a big reset or whether that's some kind of quantum financial system or not, I'm not quite sure. But we're going to have to replace it with something. And that's also going to be hinging on this whole audit at Fort Knox. So why don't we jump to that subject? And I did cover it Tuesday, so I'm not going to spend much time on it. This is going to be a quick one. Trump will audit the gold at Fort Knox. And that's going to be the first time since 1974. It's been 50 years. That was right after. That was just a few years after we had gotten off of the gold standard. And the money was still there, but many people are worried that perhaps it's not there. Or perhaps they're just props. They're just some metal bars that are lead and they're spray painted gold. We're about to find out one way or another, and they've already floated the idea that this is going to be perhaps a live stream. So let's check out Donald Trump.
We're going to go into Fort Knox to make sure the gold is there.
Are they going
You know that? We're going to go into Fort Knox. Do you know about that?
Sir,
That was that bad bump.
are they going to eliminate more national security positions, civilians there?
We'll see what happens. But one of the things we do want to look, I mean, we hope everything's fine with Fort Knox, but we're going to go to Fort Knox, the fabled Fort Knox, to make sure the gold is there.
Where would the gold have gone?
If the gold isn't there, we're going to be very upset.
And it could be collective if we're all on the stream together. Enough of us getting that tour. It would be cool. I mean, why would they put this off for 50 years if they had nothing to hide? Why couldn't they have done? They could have just had it privately. We could have had some trusted people. I would have had, I think Ron Paul has even talked about this. This could have been done 15 years ago. Well, Rand Paul's senator of Kentucky. He's made the invitation, but I don't know if anybody has ever, been there and reported back yet. So what's there? Or is the gold there, or did they ship it out? Or is it there and it belongs to somebody else? It's changed hands. Who knows? But that could have major implications. Especially, a lot of that gold has been confiscated from 1934, I do believe, when they kind of confiscated gold from Americans, put us on a gold standard, and then Nixon took us off in 1971. We won't go back into too much of that history because I've already covered a bit of it Tuesday. But yes, I guess the latest is that it's still going, and it may be streamed live. So yeah, absolutely, Josh. They needs to get done. It's going to have to rip the Band-Aid off and find out one way or another, and then take it from there. There's other methods that can be done, whether we're on the gold standard or not. Well, we're not now. We've been on the petrodollar for 50 years, but now the petrodollar is gone. So, do we go onto a Bitcoin reserve? Some people are speculating that there's going to be this XRP is going to be the thing. It's going to be the quantum financial system. I'm not knocking any of that. How do I know? We don't. I think XRP has some utility and could be, it certainly can be used as currency. Whether that will be the exclusive currency of a new system, like, sorry, we don't take gold or dollars or dong or bolivar or whatever. We only take XRP here. That I'm a little skeptical of. So, not financial advice. A lot of people are high on that. And It could be. I don't know. The whole crypto thing is pretty fascinating. I know. I trust Bitcoin. I'm not sure about everything else. I don't want to give any. I don't want anybody losing their money on anything. Yeah, the Petco dollar. Good one, Kenneth. Yes. Will they knock on the door? Will they be let in willingly, or will they be stopped? I think people have tried in the past and been stopped. It's been a while. Been a while since I've dug into that. But they're not going to shut out Trump and enough of us, especially if we're on a live stream. Maybe they're going to bring Geraldo. People have suggested that too. All right. Well, let's see. Jump topics here. I think we're only through 3. I've got about 5 more. Try to get it off. Try to finish this up in an hour. What if you ran into Paul? XRP after too many beers. Yes, I know what that's about. Well, I drink whiskey now. Not very much. Just once a week. It's more efficient. All right. Well, okay. What is the next subject? Is the Trump administration, are they crazy to consider suspending the mRNA vaccines? Well, let's take a look. Here we go. Trump administration health officials are pushing for the COVID vaccine suspension amid safety concerns. There's a new debate over the future of the vaccines emerging as key Trump administration health officials advocate for suspending mRNA shots for all age groups, citing concerns over potential side effects and rising excess deaths. Not to do any fear-mongering, there's been questions over whether everybody needed one. Certainly at the time, it seemed like perhaps some of the elderly or people with pre-existing conditions may be vulnerable, may consider taking one. It was very unclear whether children needed one or whether they had to take one for school. They didn't seem to be as affected by the COVID as some were. But now they're just saying suspending it for all. And one of those officials, Dr. J. Bhattacharya, I can't pronounce that. Here we go. You guys can do your best. I don't think I've even heard that pronounced, but I do know who that is. Was nominated to lead the National Institutes of Health, and he has endorsed the HOPE Accord, a petition alleging a causal link between the vaccines and the increase in excess deaths worldwide. So they're raising the alarm and just saying, hey, let's make a temporary halt. Let's reassess everything. Let's think safety here. And now things are going to change. We got Robert F. Kennedy now leading the Department of Health and Human Services. He's pro-vaccine, but maybe not for all the vaccines, which seems, are all of them necessary? Is it a business? Is it really all about health? Or is it compliance? There's a political angle here as well. There's also a massive financial angle. But we should encourage the questioning of the efficacy, the effectiveness, and the potential risks. Some suggest he's open to banning if the vaccines if the data supports such action. Certainly, yeah, why not? If there are people, I'm not saying they need to sue these companies into oblivion. Sometimes they're trying as hard as they can, and they try to protect these companies just in case. Because let's just say they have a humanitarian mission to help and save lives, but there's going to be accidents. We don't know. Part of this is, it's experimental for a few years until we have all the right data. It was a little bit over the top in 2020 when they were just locking everything down and trying to force people to take these things to go to work. And I had to deal with that myself. One of the major reasons why I had to leave Los Angeles, where I was enjoying everything going on. And then the whole world shut down. And then in order to get back and to do a lot of the work that I was doing out there, they wanted proof. They wanted proof that I got to go take the jab so that they could make their clients feel comfortable that the employees were all happily jabbed. But that was too much for me. So ended up just like, okay, peace. You guys are on your own. I'm out of California. And, crazy authoritarian stuff. Then I went to Austin for a few months, which is actually just as bad, if not worse. But now I'm in the free land of Tennessee, baby. So it's all good. All right. Let me get back to the article. Actually, I'm going to, I won't read the side effects. But we know those. We know the myocarditis and many other things that were perhaps problematic or sudden. There are concerns, and people should be informed about these things, not forced, not coerced. But here's an interesting exchange on CNN between Dr. Paul Offit attempting to smear RFK Jr. As he was on with this, what's his name? A health advocate named Callie Means, who had a little bit of an explosive exchange here on CNN, which was delightful to see. I will share it with you. And calling these guys out for taking money from Big Pharma. Are they really incentivized for health and saving lives? Or is it a financial incentive? Well, we'll see. Let's take a look.
Trust in public health. No, it's the public health leaders themselves. It's people defending with the record that's happening to health at HHS why cuts are bad. Of course we should make cuts. Of course the personnel should be changed. What's causing distrust in public health authorities is conflict of interest, like Dr. Offit taking millions of dollars from pharmaceutical makers like Merck while approving and recommending pharmaceuticals on ACIP committees. It's the fact that Dr. Offit's saying that science is always settled when he himself has approved vaccines that have been recalled for causing organ failure for kids. And it's the fact that Dr. Offit is talking about measles, which is important. And I want to be clear, Hamel, I don't want to get this out. It's important, but there were 300 deaths from measles a year before the invention of the vaccine. We have 38% of children right now having prediabetes. Bobby is focused on that. He's focused on reorganizing the department. And that's what we should be talking about, not this distraction.
Yeah, I completely agree. And it's bizarre that they are continuing to freak out about the measles like it's this huge disease. It's just killing children all over the place. It only really affects people in like third world countries. In America for decades, it's really been just kind of considered like a rite of passage. Every kid gets it, and then you develop an immunity to it, and you don't get it again. But they act like everyone's got to get the MMR vaccine. Oh my God, rubella, mumps, those are all like pretty ticky-tacky stuff. I mean, if you're in a different country where you don't have access to clean water, perhaps, then measles is a big thing. Maybe these vaccines are important for in other regions of the world, but certainly not so much here. And people should have a right to choose which ones they want for their kids to some degree. And I think we're going to have it's going to be a lot different now going forward with the RFK. So that's going to be refreshing. And we're not going to take as much advice from people who seem to be compromised like this guy here, but we'll let him speak in his own words.
You made a lot of claims there. I want you to respond to that. And we should note you are a member of the FDA Vaccine Advisory Committee, and you recently told CNN that RFK Jr. will hurt America's vaccine infrastructure. So please respond to that and tell us what you mean by that.
I hope we can disclose his millions of dollars of pharmaceutical payments while serving in that committee.
Look at the balls on Callie, calling him out right to his face on CNN. Now, this is a guy who cares about people's health. And this is a guy who, it's probably where he started caring about health, but then he was willing to take a lot of that big pharma money. And now he just shills the vaccines for different reasons. So let's continue.
Okay, Dr. Offit, please go ahead and respond.
Well, first of all, you're not allowed to serve on the FDA's Vaccine Advisory Committee if you have a relationship with a pharmaceutical company. And so because I don't have a relationship with a pharmaceutical company, I'm able to serve on that committee. Secondly, and most importantly, actually, the things that Callie talks about, I actually agree with in some ways. I think that we are, for example, more obese as a country than we should be. And that the consequence of obesity, like hypertension and type 2 diabetes, I think we do have, in many ways, more chronic illnesses. I think we over-medicate our children. I think there's many things we can do better. I actually wrote a book called Overkill When Modern Medicine Goes Too Far. So I agree with all that. What I don't agree with is that in any way, vaccines are harmful, as RFK Jr. says. I mean, RFK Jr. continues to claim that vaccines cause autism when they don't. He's now made childhood vaccines a major target of this. And that's
the big sore spot that they don't want anybody investigating. When you start talking about autism and whether there's a link, they really freak out about that. That could be the bombshell that sinks the entire pharmaceutical industry if they can connect that. Don't want to go there, not on this broadcast, but certainly interesting. And all of the money that has compromised the industry, and a lot of good doctors caught up on that. Right, Vax Team America, an FDA forced death agenda. I don't know, but there is a possibility that some of these are hurting people, and we just don't have enough long-term data. That's not to say that nobody should take them. But people should have a right to have all of the knowledge available, and they should be well aware of if guys like Offit are taking big money from vaccines, whether that compromises their message. There you go. Thank you for the invitation, Kenneth. I don't know. We'll think about that. All right. I don't know if I have anything else on this. Well, actually, let's get back to the list here. I got a few more odds and ends to talk about before I leave. Ooh, I'm going to try to get this show done in an hour. I've got to step it up a little bit here. Let's take a look. Speaking of medications, let's talk about Kanye West and his latest, his irrational behavior. Was that caused by a nitrous oxide? So I guess Kanye is relapsed, and he's inhaling nitrous oxide, leaving his memory messed up, according to sources. Yeah, he was on a tear. I think he's been quiet lately, but I think they had to cover up his tweets. They had to shield some of it because it was just so over the top. He was really trying to attract attention in a very negative way with all of his weirdo Nazi stuff. And then it was his wife showing up at this event pretty much naked. Wondering what the hell is going on with Kanye this time. It was just several years ago where they did have to institutionalize the guy, put him in a straitjacket and give him a time out for a couple of weeks. And, I'm kind of worried about his health, whether they were smuggling him or whether he was, just wide awake and was talking about too many conspiracy theories that the public wasn't ready for yet. And so they decided to shut him down and drug him up and hide him. But he made a recovery, kind of. And then he disappeared, and he started hanging out with Nick Fuentes and Milo Yiannopoulos. Just totally off the rails ever since. So I don't know what he's doing, but yes, he relapsed, and he's inhaling nitrous oxide. That's bizarre. I mean, isn't nitrous oxide? I mean, that's dental stuff. That's what they put in the whipped cream cans. You do the whippets. In fact, it wasn't too long ago. I had a little extra whipped cream from the Thanksgiving, the pumpkin pie, and we were out, and I just grabbed that little end of it, and I just sucked that last end of it off, Not that I'm a crazy drug user or anything, but just like, hey, yeah, why not? A little whip it in the can. Does it last for like 10 seconds? You go, oh, we get a little high, but I can't imagine like doing that regularly, doing it so often. I don't know. I don't know the methodology. This is a surprise to me because I didn't know people would ever like do this long term. This is something that's been around since like the 70s. People doing the whippets. But I mean, it's just, you get high for what, like 15 seconds? Big deal. It's not that great. It's not like you're tripping or anything. I mean, they use it in the dentist office. But where do you get the quantities to sit there and huff enough of that? Is this the excuse they're doing with? This was pretty bizarre as well. Yeah, it's hard not to notice. It's right there in all of our faces. I mean, you can't not notice it. And yeah, his girlfriend looks good, but I mean, you really want to parade that around, and it's all about drawing that, what kind of attention do you want to grab? It's a negative when you're making a spectacle of yourself. Yeah, crack that whippet. Yeah, I don't see that. Like, it wasn't like, oh my God, I got to get more cans of whipped cream. I got to get cans of this stuff. I got to do more of this every day. Like, no, I've never heard of anybody ever getting hooked on it. It's just like that rare, once in a while novelty. But I don't understand. Hello, Bigfoot Soft Wash. Good to see you too. Welcome to the Eccentric perspective. I'm going to try some new things out, do a new show. It's been about 10 years since I've done solo shows, but now that I've got the internet to do so, I'm going to try doing some new things. So it's great to have you. Check it out. And these are all the testing as I dip my toes in the water. So appreciate your support. Whip it good. Yeah, Devo reference. Okay, well, anyway, that's all I've got on that one. So hope Kanye makes a full recovery, gets off of his whippet addiction. But I think there's something that's got to be more. I'm not buying that. But all right, we'll move on. Let's do a little sports ball intro, shall we? We got a little stinger here. Okay, sports ball transition. Chris Kluwe, I'm a big Viking fan, and he was one of the more eccentric and interesting characters from some of the old teams. One of our was a punter. He was pretty good, but he was also kind of an interesting character. He played video games and he did weird stuff. I don't even remember. It's been a while. It's been 10 or 15 years. Maybe Kenneth remembers because he's a fellow Minnesotan. You two still bros, though? Which one? Chris Kluwe or somebody else? But anyway, yes, Chris Kluwe's making friends in Huntington Beach. Made a spectacle. Former Minnesota Viking dragged out of the city council meeting by police after claiming that MAGA is a Nazi movement. The former NFL punter. And I spent some time in Huntington Beach. That was where some of the major rallies in 2000 occurred when I was living in LA. I was in Culver City, but I went down to Huntington Beach because they had a couple major rallies. One of them was on May Day, May 1st of 2020, when they shut down the beaches and people weren't having it. Like, get out of here, Governor Newsom. Shutting down all of the beaches in California and over this flu, didn't seem that threatening, but they certainly made it out to be. And it started out as 6 weeks to flatten the curve to things are going to be shut down indefinitely, including everything you love to do in California. Yes, the bread and circus. I went with the sports ball. I do have a bread and circus stinger, but I didn't know if everybody would get that reference. But yeah, we're playing around with some new tools. But here we go. I guess he also, okay, here's the part where I missed it. So UCLA Bruin, Chris Kluwe. So that's why he's in that area. He's a local Californian. And I actually spent a bit of time on that campus during, in 2019 as I did some of the gig work out there. It's a great campus. I missed my time in LA. I didn't get enough time there. And then they shut it all down and I had to leave. But former Viking Chris Kluwe, he flipped out at a Huntington Beach City Council meeting protesting a MAGA plaque that was installed near the local library. And he says he's going to take his time to say what MAGA has stood for these past 3 weeks, which beg to differ. I think the last few weeks have been pretty awesome, but not according to Chris. So let's take a look at him in his own words at City Council. This is what you do. Go make your voice heard. He wanted to be heard, and we'll let him. Let's hear his voice.
Unfortunately, it's clear that this council does not listen, so instead I'm going to take my time to say what MAGA has stood for these past 3 weeks. MAGA stands for trying to erase trans people from existence. MAGA stands for resegregation.
Erasing trans people from existence. I don't know where that came from. That is completely made up.
And racism. MAGA stands for trans people from existence. MAGA stands for resegregation and racism.
Resegregation? And what the hell are you talking about, dude? Where do you get this stuff? And he just says this stuff as though it's just facts that everybody knows.
MAGA stands for censorship and book bans.
Censorship and book bans. Can you name anything that they have censored? The only books that they've banned are usually books about like gay sex, like LGBT sexual things in children's elementary schools that don't belong there. They weren't saying, we can't have Catcher in the Rye or whatever. No Tom Sawyer, no what have you. There's historically been several of these books that the old conservatives would ban. But now it's like, we should all agree that maybe we don't have, books with pictures of explicit sex don't belong in the classroom. But I guess he didn't get that memo, so I'm curious what books got censored that shouldn't have been.
MAGA stands for firing air traffic controllers while planes are crashing.
Firing air traffic controllers. We had a couple of plane crashes, and actually that's going to be one of my stories coming up here. Is on that Delta crash, which could have been a DEI thing. Not trying to dunk on it, but anyway, side issue. He had just taken office, so don't try to blame Trump. Give me a break.
MAGA stands for firing the people overseeing our nuclear arsenal. MAGA stands for firing military veterans and those serving them at the VA.
Wow, including how about all of the military veterans that were fired, I think dishonorably discharged because they didn't take the experimental vaccine. I don't remember. Did Chris Kluwe just mention that? No. So I don't know what the hell he's talking about. I don't know where he gets his information. But yes, he's wearing a Tecmo Bowl shirt because I've said he's an avid video game player. I do remember that. Tecmo Super Bowl is one of my absolute all-time favorites. But man, you really need to stick to video games because you don't know what you're talking about, dude.
Canceling research on veteran suicide. MAGA stands for cutting funds to education, including for disabled children.
Cutting the wasteful funds for the Federal Department of Education that has lowered our standard of education from #1 in the world to like almost last.
MAGA is profoundly corrupt, unmistakably anti-democracy, and most importantly, MAGA is explicitly a Nazi movement. You may have replaced us.
He has said just explicitly a Nazi movement. Wow. Says it's a fact because he said it. All right. I don't know where he gets this information from. But he was willing to put himself out there, and we'll continue.
Swastika with a red hat, that is what it is. I will now engage in the time-honored American tradition of peaceful civil disobedience.
Get out.
How stunning and brave. Just put out a bunch of horseshit propaganda, regurgitating stupid talking points from leftist media outlets. And then he goes and gets arrested for it. Makes a spectacle, embarrasses himself, thinks he's doing the right. And I appreciate anybody boldly going to go out there and speak their truths and be willing to get arrested for it. But this is not it. This is none of that. MAGA, MAGA beer, MAGA energy, MAGA I not see it. Yeah, he's just believing all the stuff that they've made up about MAGA, all of the ridiculousness, which is why it's so great that Trump is back. The adults are back in charge, and we can put, hopefully, an end to all of this woke insanity. You're probably, people like Chris Kluwe are probably, celebrating the innocent J6 protesters being in jail. He probably would have had us all force vaccinated if he had the chance. What a rule over us. And they'd have all those books on gay sex in all of your elementary schools, and they'd be read by your drag queens. It's weird how off the rails the leftists went over the years, and I'm sorry for Chris Kluwe. It's turned into a mental illness, but now maybe he'll get a wake-up call at some point. I don't know. I just want him to see the light. I'm not interested in his punishment. This is not re-education. This is not any of that. This is just, how do we reach these people? So he's been brainwashed. It's unfortunate. Yeah, there you go, Kenneth. Time to poke the woke. All right, well, speaking of woke, let's jump to the next topic. I got two left. That would be Delta. Here we go with the DEI stuff. We covered this the other day, Toxically Masculine Tuesday. It was with Mike Vera and trail boss Steve Doran. And Dr. Brooks Agnew had the night off, and we had Brian Engelman come in for the substitute. So that was fun. And this was the headline story was on Delta and the latest crash, and whether they're trying to cover up the details because there's things that they don't want you to see. Namely, was it a female crew? Was it somebody that didn't deserve to be there? Was it an error, or was it a terror? But yes, unfortunately, the bad news is there's a plane crash. The good news is that everybody survived. Nobody died. There were some injuries. But it was pretty a scary looking incident as the plane was upside down. Didn't look good. Yeah, Delta 8. Yeah, good stuff. Got the Delta 8 in Tennessee. Had the Delta 9 in LA. All right. But yes, Delta, yeah, maybe they were smoking some Delta 8 in the friendly skies from Minneapolis to Canada. I can't remember where. I guess it's not really important, but here it is. The plane that crashed in Toronto was a Delta flight operated by Endeavour Air. It was a small airline obsessed with having an all-female unmanned flights. Unmanned, get it? I'm going to run part of this clip. And there's a lot of copyrighted music, so I won't play it just in case. Not that I care. I'm not trying to monetize any of this stuff on YouTube, but sometimes they inconvenience me by pulling stuff down, and then I got to appeal it, and it's a big pain. But yes, they've been putting out these videos, and it's cool. Let's celebrate diversity hires in a way that's great, but are they competent? That is the problem. You can't just give somebody a job just because they're a woman or a minority, because you could have problems. And it appeared that that terrible plane crash in the Potomac at that little airport in D.C., the Black Hawk helicopter that crashed with that private jet out of Wichita, that was a woman. And, not just a mistake, it's an error, it's tragedy, but I'm not saying she did it because she's a woman, but she was also very new. And that's what this is also saying. I think the details of been tough to get out, but it looks like maybe the dam is broken. Sources claim a Delta crash pilot was a woman who only got certified a month ago. So it just seems like they have to have a more extensive training program with stuff like this. I thought they did. I thought it took years and years, and you had to not only just all the training, but just, being a co-pilot and so much of it, as an apprentice, learn and just do thousands and thousands of hours before you finally allow you to actually fly by yourself or with another co-pilot with, actual people on board. So speculation raging as to the identity of the pilot involved in Delta Airlines, with some sources claiming she was a woman who only got certified a month ago. Plane flipped over while landing, leaving terrified passengers hanging upside down on their seats. And it's a minor miracle that no one died, although 21 were taken to the hospital. Many have blamed pilot error, noting that the pilot did not seem to attempt to pull the nose of the plane as it descended. So let's... It's just coming in so fast. You don't see the typical flaps, or it's kind of pulling the nose up to kind of slow itself down, get the extra air drag out of it. It was a sloppy landing coming in that hot. It's amazing. It's a miracle. And it's a testament to some of the engineering. Hopefully that wasn't like a Boeing airplane, because all the cheap parts maybe would have exploded and it would have been a much worse story.
Oh, you're seeing this airplane just crash into.
So bad news. So that's going to be a setback. Delta and their hiring practices. And anyway, kind of it's a PR disaster. Unfortunate. And it was probably preventable. And thank you guys. I'm getting a couple of notes from the Kick guys offering some proposals. That would be cool. I'll consider that. I don't know. I get a few of these. Trying to help me out, expand a little bit. Kick is just something I stream to because I can. I don't know. I think it's kind of peruse their platform. They seem to be more about video game players than bloggers and vloggers and what have you. But I will take a look at that. I will consider that. So appreciate the offer. Yeah, just what's going on? Good question, Kenneth. What is going on? What is going on? My last topic of the day. 1 in 10 Americans, have they always identified with the LGBTQ community? I don't know. Nearly 1 in 10. This is according to a latest Gallup poll. 1 in 10 U.S. adults identify as being lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, or I guess any other 75 different categories. I'm not sure, but I didn't think we would. I don't know where to start, but it certainly has been going up pretty significantly. Now, I did a previous broadcast like 10 years ago, more than 10 years ago. And I don't know why. I was thinking like it was like maybe 10-15% of the population, because I was kind of thinking maybe that there were all of these like closet people. But I don't know if that's actually the case. I think I was wrong, and it was probably like 5%. That was about 10 or 12 years ago. And now I think it's up to 10%. And it's strongly, amongst with the new generation, the Gen Z people. So is this the normal course of nature? Something they're putting in the food, the water, it's making the frogs gay, it's the chemicals, I don't know. According to Jeff Jones, a senior editor at Gallup, he said in a phone interview he didn't expect that increase to happen so fast. I didn't think we would get to 10% as quickly, as we're not quite there yet, but it seems like maybe it's only a few years away. Where before I thought it could have been a couple decades or so. we're getting pretty close to that 1 in 10 figure, which I think would be a notable milestone. It certainly is, and that's alarming, because that's for humanity, right? I mean, how are we supposed to reproduce going forward into the future if 10% of us are not interested in the opposite sex? Well, Gallup conducted random telephone interviews over the last year, and it's includes 14. So it's not just like, 400 people randomly or whatever. This is 14,000 adults living in 50 states, and found that about 900 of them identified as being part of the LGBTQ. Could be a sampling error, plus or minus 4 percentage points. But they're saying maybe it's due to Generation Z, who are up 19 to 28 years old, reaching adulthood. Nearly 1/4 of Gen Z identify as LGBT, along with 14% of millennials, and the Gen X, which are 5%, 3% of baby boomers. Yeah, I think 5% would be about in line with, I think, the actual number. Perhaps a few more. Just because a lot of people, lived in the closet. That was like a thing for, me growing up. That was one of those things. It was like gay. Was it a choice, or were people born that way? And I always thought they were born that way. Anybody I've spoken to about it said the same thing. Some people think that it's just a choice. I think a lot of people have chosen to be straight because they wanted to appease their family, or maybe they wanted to have their own family. But, I think things have changed. Things have changed dramatically, where before people had to kind of live in the closet or live in fear. Now it's just, I think it's just, it's very common now, so people don't care as much. But there are still plenty of, Christian conservatives who strongly believe that, that gay is just a choice, and that these people are perhaps living in sin. And I don't believe that for a minute. Why would people choose to be gay unless they were? And I would think if people, and I'm just going to say, if being gay was a choice, I'll just say something controversial here. I probably would have chosen to be gay a long time ago. I think my sex life would have been about 10,000% better. I think I'm almost envious of the gay community. I think they have things so easily. They have all their own, they call their secret cliques and what have you. And it's so much easier. I say 10,000, it would be 10,000 times easier for a gay man to get laid than it is for a straight man to get a woman. So let me say, and speaking of which, I actually coincidentally just happened to find this video on YouTube as I was contemplating this over, and guess what I found? Women don't reward honesty. Here is a quick clip.
The truth got men laid, the world would look so much better than it currently does. Like, can you imagine? Like, women actually do have the power to remake the world indirectly by choosing which men to reward with sex and relationships and under what circumstances. And let me tell you, if a woman got better at sussing out the truth from lies, which they're not very good at, because most people aren't very good at that, and just did not have sex with men who lied to them, man, we'd have a much more honest population, like, very quickly. But one, women have a hard time differentiating the truth from lies. And two, they often care about other things more. They do. If the truth got men...
And I gotta say, I completely agree with that. I've always struggled with that, but I'm a Sigma and an INTJ. I am not a normal dude. But it's a lot easier for some men to get with women than others. Certainly, if I was 6 feet tall and a little more handsome, that would certainly help. But it's also, I'm very direct about things. I live in a world of logic and reason. And as much as I love women, they can be irrational creatures that live in a world of emotion. And that can be difficult. And there are a lot of men who, exploit that, are able to kind of psychologically take advantage of women. And they do kind of go after really bad men. They keep getting fooled over and over again, or they like their bad boys or what have you. So this is kind of one of those things I have noticed. And so I'm just saying, if being gay was a choice, I think things would be a lot different, because the gay dudes haven't made it so with their happy lifestyles and what have you. Picking up a woman just to see one, and then going through all of the rituals of all of the texting, all of the dating, all of the, it's a long process to lay out, versus gay dudes just have like an easy hookup culture. So it's completely different. So I understand. It's a complicated subject, but yes, I'm going there because I know it's one of those things that it was a controversial issue from our show a couple nights ago when we were talking about this on Toxically Masculine Tuesday. Is it a choice, or are people born that way? So, the world wants a Blake calendar. Perhaps. We shall see. All right. Well, is there anything else? I'm not sure, but okay. We'll continue explore this subject as we go forward. I'm not sure, but it's a weird thing as we go forward. Just men and women, we still don't get each other after all this time. I worry about the future of humanity, and now you've got 10% of the population who is allegedly gay. Now those numbers are growing significantly. So whether it's chemicals or something in the food, I don't know about any of that. Or is it nature's way of controlling the population? Do we have too many people? The big burning questions for humanity going forward. I don't know. But Elon's doing his part. He's got 13 kids and counting. Yeah, we'll see. Okay. Well, I don't know if I have anything else. I think I've covered all of the topics I had today. Didn't quite make it in under an hour, but we're at about an hour 17, so I think this is probably a good spot to end it, unless anybody else has something for show and tell they would like to share with the rest of our class. We can certainly do that. These Soylent McShakes. Perhaps, not sure. But I don't know. Sometimes I don't know. I don't feel like that. I don't even feel like I'm that connected to humanity. I feel like I'm just like an alien observing your world. Sometimes in delight, sometimes in horror, but it's always entertaining. But anywho, all right. Well, it's been fun. I think I'm gonna cut this one for today. Thank you so much for everyone for being here today. Thank you, Kenneth. Great to see you. And everybody else and anybody watching in the archive. We continue to do these shows Tuesday and Thursday, 4 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. All of the hot topics of the day and more. Thank you so much, Kenneth. Always great to have you. Thank you for stopping in, and we'll do it again next week. So with that, I will see you guys later. Have a great weekend. Take care, everybody. I'm out.